I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First order of business is approval of minutes. I review them and recommend approval.
I move that we adopt the August 24th, 2016 meeting minutes.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous. First order is an ANRAD 242-1687-44 Hawthorne Place.
So this was waiting for a DEP number. We have the DEP number, and Jen has already reviewed the delineation. She recommends to, it's fine. She reviewed it, looks good, and she said there's a brush pile in the buffer zone that should be removed. So you can have that.
Okay. Any questions, Joe?
None.
Doug, questions?
No
Kevin?
questions.
Jeff?
No questions.
Motion?
I move that we issue an order of resource area delineation for 242-1687.
Second. I'm sorry.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that's unanimous.
We're going to keep this simple for the note taker.
Yes, please.
Jack will move and Deb will at second.
Is Royal Crest continuing?
Royal Crest is asked to continue to October 12th.
Okay.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous. Next one is, but you guys are messing me up. Why are you on this side and you on that side?
I speak here though.
Yeah.
I keep you on your toes.
I know, you feel like the table's tipped upside down. 242-1688-30 Ironwood Road.
So this is a new filing for patios, landscape work, stuff like that. The applicant consultant is here tonight. The only big thing to know about this one at the moment is they will need to file with planning, which has not been filed for yet. And it is a natural heritage. They've submitted to natural heritage. We haven't heard back, but certainly you guys can review the rest of it. It won't be as close to them anyways. So they want to do a patio, outdoor kitchen, retaining wall, landscape areas, driveway, extension. Everything's outside the 50, the closest point of work. There's 2 points, one with the stairs and one with the stairs, one on the back patio, and right at the 50. The wetland line has been reviewed. It is fine as it is. I don't know what the consultant who's here tonight.
2 weeks.
Good evening. I'm Elizabeth Wallace, Hayes Engineering, representing the applicant. And as you said, we're proposing some patios, landscape areas, and to rebuild a patio. We will be also removing a couple trees in front of the house. We are keeping outside of the 50-foot buffer zone with all the work. There's an existing house, there's an existing driveway, and we're going to extend the driveway a little bit, as you can see in that shaded area. The landscaped areas and patios will be enclosed by retaining walls. And we have one big landscape area and landscape areas bordering proposed patio and the patio to be rebuilt. The patio to be rebuilt is underneath a deck. It will be extended to include a landscape area. Excuse me. We have the erosion control a little bit further down the slope, just to allow us to have the machines have access, and any disturbance within the disturbed area will be loamed and seeded or otherwise stabilized. We are partially in the priority habitat. We have sent the notice of intent off to Natural Heritage for their review, but we have not heard from them just yet. They're still reviewing it. So it's a fairly simple project, I believe. There's an existing house with existing areas of grass. We are not taking down any trees in the rear, but we're taking down a couple of trees in the front. Does anybody have any questions?
I'm sure we do. Joe?
I also have little profiles that I'd like to distribute to you. Yeah, take one and pass one.
Sure thing. Thank you.
Which will give you a good idea. There will be a little amount of grading along the proposed retaining wall, about 5 feet in most places, but 10 feet where you see that area to slope, just a transition from the wall to the slope. We are not grading down to the 50-foot no-build zone or erosion control. That's just an area to allow machines and personnel to access the work areas. And those will be restored with vegetation.
Yeah. Joe? That's tough. Look at this microphone.
Sure, and thank you for the profile too, but on the main plan itself, I'm seeing on the right-hand side, the larger locus, if you will, of the entire area. To the left is just a blow-up of the area, just to make it more legible, correct?
That is correct,
Right.
yeah.
So, am I to see that anything that's going to be proposed has the word proposed, all those other things, but rebuild, that's also part of this project?
That is
The
correct.
rebuild?
The patio is in tough shape, so it needs to be reconstructed, and a landscape area and stairs will be added to the rebuilt patio.
I'm going to switch over to the profile now, or the cross-section, if you will.
Mm-hmm.
Where is that, relative to this sketch, where is that drawn through? Is that coming, is it out through the patio area, or is it out? I guess I'm not understanding where the profile was drawn through.
This was produced by the architect, and I believe from the drawing that it's through the large proposed landscaped area just adjacent to the expanded driveway.
Because he has, in that cross-sectional profile, if you will, there's the word utility egress, which I almost take to mean it's an opening in the wall to allow things to get from the higher grade to the lower grade.
Actually, I can address that.
Yeah.
I'm the owner.
Oh, thank you.
Karen, nice to meet you, thank you. The part to the left in front of the patio is going to be rebuilt in the lawn. You can see on the left side of the house where the proposed steps are, that is a steep area that's been eroding, so we're hoping that area, we put those steps in, will stop the erosion. I have no way to get a mower now to the back lawn. So by utility access, it's just basically that I can walk a mower, a wheelbarrow, something down to the back part of the yard where the lawn is so that it can be mowed. So by utility, he doesn't mean any sort of infrastructure. He means the simple utility of being able to walk a mower back there.
So you mentioned the stairs, so to get my bearings, I'm seeing diagonally, left to right, the word proposed patio, and above the PO and that is a stairway to the back. Is it in that area?
This right here?
Oh, was it over on that side?
That's
Okay,
a steep slope right now.
okay, it's on that side.
Stop the erosion there. That patio was decaying, was built with wood, pressure-treated wood, railroad ties, it's all rotted or bugged in, just looking to rebuild that. This is an existing lawn.
Mm-hmm.
This is usually how I bring down my mowers. I come down here into the driveway, just walk it around. Now this is all going to be
You won't be able
blocked
to
off.
anymore, okay.
So I have no way to get down there. So he wants to put a little utility walk that I can get back down to this lawn.
From around the outside of the wall or a
Yeah,
break
from the
within?
outside of the wall.
Not from a break within the wall?
No, because these are a set of steps down. I wouldn't be able to get a mower
Okay.
down those steps.
And that's still,
basically a
even,
pathway.
but, and even at that, it's still outside the 50,
Yes.
the 50 no build,
Yeah,
if you
it's
will.
outside that.
Okay. Okay, that makes it a lot clearer, thank you. I'm all set for now.
Doug?
I don't have any questions at this time.
I have a couple. We usually require a stockpile area on the plan, so when you come back again, designate a stockpile area, because you have... yes.
Stockpile area?
Yeah, in other words, you're gonna be needing stone, and when you dig and excavate and regrade, it's nice that we know where the stuff is. Now, construction access is on this side? By the driveway?
Yes. The other side is very steep, so
Okay,
it would be along the driveway.
okay. And the existing of the driveway, a parking area, is that gonna be paved?
It is being paved, yes.
Okay, that's out of the 52. Okay. Yeah, so if you could, because it has to be continued anyways. Oh, I'm sorry, you have a...
It does, natural heritage
Yeah.
plan, we're just waiting
And
on.
if you could designate on the plan, construction access and a stockpile. What stockpile, where you're gonna stockpile your materials or your excess material that you're digging or excavating.
Yes, I will.
I'm all set. Deb?
No questions.
Yeah, I believe the submittal includes an outdoor kitchen on one of the patios, no?
Yes, yes. You see the big landscape area adjacent to the driveway extension. It's the next one over to the left.
Yeah, my wife got excited when you said outdoor kitchen. There is no outdoor kitchen.
I thought that was a surprise.
Happy anniversary.
I thought I'd settled this, but you dragged it right back.
That's what
I think you should go for the outdoor
Put
kitchen.
that in as an order of condition, that you're an outside kitchen.
That's what
That would be nice.
So we went from outdoor kitchen to a grill.
Just a grill, just our regular grill we have out there. The rusty.
But the outside
Sorry.
kitchen would be nice, because then you
We
would...
can condition that if you'd like.
Your real kitchen.
The ladies are ganging up on me here. Well, let's get out of here before I...
Does the application mention an outdoor kitchen, though?
It does.
It
It
does,
does.
yeah. That's because it was on the architect's rendering, but
Okay.
apparently not.
No.
No.
Okay. All right.
No.
I'm
So we'll-
You
yeah.
can, you can put that in, strike the outdoor kitchen, no outdoor kitchen allowed.
I just want to clear it up, that's
Yep.
all. Yeah. Okay, so there's no, my follow-up to that was, are there any utilities, underground water, sewer, anything like that? No.
The only thing would be is I suppose I have to move some of my sprinklers which are already there.
That's not a big deal.
Just to set an expectation, your yard, I'm looking at the 25-foot, on the larger scale plan, and it looks like it sort of, juts out in a little peninsula back into the woods. And, on a project like this, we would typically require monumentation of the 25-foot no disturb zone. So we'll have to figure something out there. It looks like, it's hard for me to tell whether the 25-foot is within the tree line or not. So we'll have to figure out a monumentation plan you know, it can be done on trees if the 25 is within the tree line.
Portions of the 25 have been, look like they've been like brush back, weed whacker, and there's only a few trees that it would likely need to be posted or something. There's probably not enough trees to mark the 25, is my.
So we would have to come up with something either,
Posts.
yeah, posts or on rocks
Some
or,
marking of some sort.
yeah, we'd want you to propose a means of doing that where we can't use trees. Typically, what, 50 feet, every 50
30,
feet?
yeah.
30.
30 feet,
Yeah.
30 feet. That's all I have.
So only as the questions came around, I came up with a couple more.
Go ahead.
So looking, do we know when Ironwood was originally developed? It was not that long ago.
I would shop.
10, 15, 15, 20?
They were telling me the 80s. I said, wait, because I asked.
It's off of Dale Street, right?
Yes.
Yeah, it's right before Small Axe Farm.
Yeah.
I asked that
The 80s.
question. They told me it was the 80s.
I looked it
Are
all
you feeling
up.
as old as I'm
We
feeling?
are getting old.
I looked it all up, yes.
All right. So
And there's a PCOC for this lot.
there is no, so this part of town doesn't have sewer. It's all septic out there. Do we know where the septic is? Is it in the front or the back?
No, this is on sewer. 'cause
This is on sewer.
It's in watershed.
It's watershed. That's what they
Yes.
extended it.
Yes, it's
They
in
extended
watershed,
sewer
so
out
it's
there,
on
okay.
sewer.
And given the vintage of this development in the 80s, I'm not concerned about whether, but I am curious of these patio areas. Are they concrete? Are they block?
He's proposing to build them out of block and with some permeable areas between the block.
No patio blocks.
There's no obligation to do so, but there's always an opportunity to ask. So you're showing on the,
Do you want me to go to the other one?
yeah, let's go to the other side. I think it's a little more enlarged and more visible.
Yep.
So we have a point source discharge. It's only a 4-inch drain pipe, but you are collecting whatever water gets on that area to that drain and finds its way out. And it's point source. I'm really wondering if the magnitude of this landscape effort, if
This proposed drain here,
yeah, if we might,
this roof line
Yeah.
is down the big V, so it dumps everything right there.
and with the additional patio area, I'm wondering if there's an opportunity though
Sean.
to eliminate the point source and find a way to infiltrate. It doesn't have to be designed. Just try to get as much of that into the ground as possible. You know, away from the foundation, of course. You don't want to get in.
He's proposing a planter here,
Uh-huh.
and so it'll go into the planter, and hopefully some of it will go down, and then whatever doesn't flow will flow out of the pipe.
Okay.
So it's an overflow, right?
Yes.
I'm all set then.
Right now, it comes ripping down this big valley and just shoots out.
It's getting there anyway.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so we need a motion to continue.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous. You have 2 weeks to talk him into that kitchen.
Conditions can be negotiated.
I already traded, now you put it back on the table.
Thank you.
That was actually one abstention.
One abstention.
I'll continue.
Oh, yes.
Thank you.
Thank
Let me
you.
put that down. Laura.
Next one is 242-1629, West Mill, RCG West Mill.
So this one, you have an updated email that came in today from Lisa in your packets. That's what you'll want to read now, and the applicant will discuss.
Slam dunk. Why not target?
Not like we don't do it for a living, right?
All right, we can make this quick. You addressed all Lisa's concerns. And as Joe had mentioned about the snow storage, it was gonna be an issue. So, on that point, I'll just leave it, we'll just do questions.
Sure.
We're all there.
That's fine.
So,
It's not a critical fault of the design, it's the reality of, good winter versus bad winter. There are going to be many times during the winter that this development's going to be forced to take load snow out, haul it away, and it's going to be a condition to that extent. It's going to be something, I would suspect, as we talk about it, it's going to be preserve the areas for the infiltrator, so that the ice doesn't accumulate. You can certainly pile some snow there, maybe even be a good thing to get some snow there. But under some circumstances, its functionality is going to be a problem. So if the O&M plan hasn't been updated to include it, I think Lisa's saying they should be integrated.
Right.
And if that's the case, if some statement to that effect of loading the snow out can be made, then we can just use that as a reporting requirement. And I think the O&M plan probably does require an annual report. So I think some sort of assessment of winter impact, potential winter damage that may have occurred into those infiltrating areas, what the restoration procedure might be. That's all.
okay. So you addressed, you heard about the snow storage and what we had to do after keep those areas open.
Yep.
So you already have an existing O&M plan?
Yeah, we had prepared one in our last submittal 2 weeks ago or 10 days ago. We had prepared an operation and maintenance plan that outlines numerous things, most notably designated snow storage areas and where not to put snow, and focuses on that snow should be handled in a responsible manner off-site if the designated areas become fulfilled. So, and then on the back of that operation and maintenance plan was the site plan that identified the snow storage areas, very similar to Phase 1. And the format and the language of Phase 2, just for consistency purposes, matched Phase 1.
So in the spirit of the amendment discussion that we're having, because we're seeing it truly as amendment of the old, I think Lisa's point of integrating the O&M plans to a single document as
Yep.
opposed to two separate documents that need to be read separately, integrating them as a single document is a valid point. You as the management
Yeah.
company, or your client as the management company,
Yeah.
Doesn't want to go through multiple manuals of how to operate the
Yeah,
site.
yeah, we share with that, and I actually spoke to the planning department, Rebecca, today, and we are in the process of consolidating both operation and maintenance plan into one operation maintenance plan. Essentially, they're the same document, like literally duplicates of each other, with two separate plans, Phase 1 and Phase 2. So we're just in the process of consolidating that and creating a cover sheet, so there's physically one stapled copy or one electronic copy somewhere, so if somebody requests it, it's just in one place.
So I'm not sure if that's something that, and first of all, it's an amendment, we're not doing a new hearing, but, so I'm not even sure that's something that there's no great harm in issuing a final decision on the amendment until we get that document. I don't think.
I don't think so either. The problem is, you haven't been approved by planning yet,
No, that's next Tuesday.
next Tuesday.
So that's, if you can get that integrated document to us for our record,
For the next meeting?
or anytime prior, then we can certainly close it and support.
Because
Planning process.
generally, we don't close on something that's open to another board, because we can approve this, and then planning could change it. And it could conceivably change what we see. So what we do is we generally wait until after planning approves it, or zoning, or,
Timing
but I mean,
shouldn't
I don't
change.
see a problem.
Timing wouldn't change much. I mean, Jen had suggested timing probably wouldn't change anyways if you leave it open till next week.
Okay.
Be the same end result.
Okay.
She'll probably have a
I
draft.
mean, we're all set. It's just that, we have to wait for, we like to wait for planning.
And we don't have, I think we don't have a final consolidated O&M
O&M plan.
which I think is probably, just a few days off, but we could get that in the meantime, get planning's approval in the meantime, we'll be all set to approve next time.
And she'll have it drafted.
And then
she
have it
suggested.
drafted.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just want to make sure there's no more comment on the plan itself, so when we get planning to approve on Tuesday, the site plan itself is set. And so if we're talking about a manual, I don't think we have a problem with.
Two more
coming back with
commissioners who
that,
may
or
have
whether
comments,
that
though.
could be-
It should be submitted before we close,
Right.
which would be 2 weeks. Do you plan to stockpile snow on the site?
There are designated areas on sheet 3, on the zoomed-in version. We had touched on this on our initial presentation, that the way the site's graded, it's essentially graded like a bowl. And so we felt that we can't stockpile snow beyond, say, there's existing concrete pads there that once served as an area for benches or smoking area. Once you reach that elevation, it's the crest, and actually the runoff begins to flow into that pond. So we limited the snow storage area to about 10 feet off what would be the new edge of lot. And then also over here too, this also sheet flows back into the property. So it's a balance, right? So like I said a few weeks ago, when that snow melts, you want it to run through that proper treatment train. And so you want to keep it within that designed watershed. So that's what we've achieved. And we actually allocated just rough square foot areas too, but we understand that certain winters require some additional attention to detail with regards to snow.
And that's why the position that I was taking of, recognize that's inevitable, that, as part of your annual reporting basis, which is covered in the O&M plan, that you simply make a statement, make an assessment of the impact of those areas that are intended for infiltration, assess the impact from the winter activities, and whatever it is that needs to be done to restore those. You just make that as a statement of your annual your maintenance within those areas.
Our order will probably require snow stockpiling signage so that it's clear to the plowers where the stockpiles go.
Okay.
No changes needed on your part, but we'll probably require that. It'd probably be better if you noted it on the plans if you have a chance.
So the alternative is usually the opposite. And that's, we don't want a snow stockpile because those signs actually have a chance of surviving. If you put a sign of where you're going to stockpile, the life expectancy is about 2.5 minutes.
How we do it. Yeah.
That's where the snow's
The
going.
no snow signs.
Yeah.
Easiest point.
You've done this before, haven't you, Joe?
Yeah, once or twice.
I will say, given the scale of this site, snow is handled very carefully by an experienced team of guys on site, so I think it's less likely they're going to randomly put snow somewhere because of how actively used the parking lots are and closely managed in snowstorms.
You have to be careful. Like I said, we have I shouldn't say that, but we had all this snow 2 years ago. Your butter decided to put it in the pond and took out all the vegetation, so never say never. But, okay, so we'll continue for the next meeting, and you're going to have the O&M plan together as one.
Mm-hmm.
And then if Jen has any more as far as snow stockpiling sites, which she can decide that. All right? So we need a motion to continue.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous.
Joe's giving you the stink eye on every one.
I was just trying to keep it easy on Heidi.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Didn't
Otherwise, I'm like,
didn't
who did
work out
that?
as I intended.
Next one is
Continue.
0 Riverview Street, Mass Electric.
Yep. This is the one she recommended continuing, so,
This is being continued also?
yes.
So moved.
Are we just waiting on council's language, or is it messier than we first
I'm
thought?
not positive.
Okay.
No, I don't think it's messy. I think
Just
it's
waiting on getting the
it's
language.
just the right hand and the left hand don't seem to be getting together.
Did our town council
No, he's not in the loop anymore.
Okay, good.
It's just between GLSD and
Mass Electric?
Mass Electric.
Mass.
Grid,
Okay.
whatever they're going to be called next
All
week.
right, motion to continue. We have a motion and a,
Who motioned?
Second.
I'm sorry. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, and that's unanimous. Well, you guys are
We'll go with
messing me
Deb and
up. Switch it.
Jack Slow.
All three of us in unison. Second.
Next one is 242-1667, 700 Middleton Street.
So this was a septic system replacement. The system was put in, you can see as soon as I get it here. Red is where it was put, black is proposed. It was rotated, but it's still outside the 50. It's received its certificate of compliance from the health department. The wetland markers are up, everything is stabilized, but there is a photo. You can see in the driveway, it looks worse in the photos than it really is, but where they pull the erosion control, there's a little bit of runoff that just needs some gravel, and they got some stuff in the driveway to clean up. But other than that, it is fine, and the owner is already aware that that needs to be cleaned up.
These photos represent a different issue, or is this a result of some of the work that they had done?
No, so
Is access,
this is just that the erosion controls are removed and the wetland markers up, but it's just at the driveway coming in, there's this left, there's this, and then this is actually just where erosion control used to be. Just needs to add a little gravel, and she was actually out there, spoke to them, no problem.
okay. Where is that on the plan? Is it,
Oh, so the driveway is, does this thing show up here? Oh, where is it? No, does it show? No pointer?
well, seeing what looks, there's a
It's
square
really
building next to the
difficult to-
house. Is that a garage? That must be the driveway area.
Yeah, it's a driveway, it's difficult to see.
Okay.
See the 50 and the 48 and the 49 and the 47? Can you see those up in the green?
I do?
Though that's where the driveway turns.
Okay.
It's right around where the 50 and the 48 numbers are. Just off the edge of the driveway. It's tough to see on the plan.
Question, Joe?
I'm all set.
Deb?
Jack commented that you need a laser pointer.
I do, yes.
Okay, so take that
It would
under
be cool.
advisement, please.
I don't know if we have
I
that
will
in the
bring one
budget.
next time.
That's what I said.
What was that? I missed it.
We would have to
You've
take
got
a
a
pay
pointer
cut.
on the mouse, right?
Yeah, I was trying, but
We would have to take a
It
pay
keeps,
cut
like-
to afford
Oh.
money for that laser.
cutting out.
know yourself.
Yeah, it cuts out.
I just cut a
Just,
raise.
yeah, just,
I thought it would work, but it doesn't. That's all right.
Jack, any questions?
Yeah,
I'm too short to
it
reach
just
up there,
doesn't,
so.
I don't understand, it doesn't look stable on that picture.
Yeah, that's why I said the photo looks worse than it is, and we can certainly continue until next week and until he stabilizes it, that's fine. It really is, it looked similar to that to start with, and where the sock came out, it's just run down. But definitely, the driveway looked like that to begin with. The gravel was there, but where the sock came out, it's run down. It looks much worse in the photo than it is
And is that the
in person.
wetland on the left side of the photo?
Well, you did
Downhill, oh yeah, downhill.
Yeah.
You did
Yeah.
a site review,
Yeah, Jen actually ended up
Jen.
visiting this one, yeah.
and Jen was comfortable with it, minus the
Yep, she ended up going out to this one.
site otherwise stable.
She was out on,
Recommend granting a CSC, but holding until final cleanup of small erosion.
or reverse if you're more comfortable with that.
That does look bad, but I don't.
I'm seeing the photograph and the words don't
They don't
match
match.
the photograph.
Yeah, I know.
I feel more confident with Jen's recommendation than a picture.
But yeah, whatever you guys choose to do, it won't matter
Yeah, I
either
know,
way.
but that doesn't, I don't know.
It just doesn't seem like we would
What's that?
normally grant a COC for if an area existed like that.
Well,
Sure.
Well, then we'll continue.
Yeah, makes sense to me. So the
I
owner's
mean,
here.
that's just stuff that was covered with sand, left a sand pile, and I'm trying to clean it up. And I want to just shovel it out and then take it out in one load. I mean, I can clean up the driveway, but I'm gonna be taking more out too. You got all sand, all in that gravel there, which is landscaping.
Is it on the same side of the house as the project?
Project is behind the house.
And is
This,
that
if I remember, this was like, this was
I
down
can show
Yeah,
you.
good point.
postage
The
stamp.
project is here.
In the red.
And project is here, this is all paved up here.
Existing, not part of the project,
Yeah, it
but
was prior to the project.
paved driveway to begin with.
Well, where is this area here? Where is that?
It's, okay, this
Yeah.
Is this Middleton Road right
It's
here?
right in, here's Middleton Street.
It's up in the driveway.
And this is, this area, she's got the picture right in this area up here, something like that. And then the pavement goes out to about here and then comes back over, you know.
Yeah, the pavement doesn't show real well on there.
I mean, COC is being held
It looks like it's...
until final cleanup and smaller roads and off driveways is fixed.
I'm sure it isn't, but it looks it. We're all sitting here with long faces, so I'll say something. I don't know the time sensitivity of this thing, but I do know the growing season's rapidly ending. And, you know, if a developer came in and asked, you know, we'd say this isn't stable, we would want them to clean it up, rake it out, stabilize it, and protect it for some extended period of time. In this instance, we're hearing staff recommending something to that effect by saying,
Gravel.
grant it, hold the issuance aside until they have evidence that it's been cleaned up. There's some reasonableness to our staff's recommendation, I understand, but so what if it doesn't stabilize? If it's just on the cusp of being an issue for weeks, and then weeks become winter, and winter becomes clean it up in the spring, you know, how long can we hold a COC in abeyance in awaiting completion of the work?
If we vote to grant it and then hold it.
Yeah, that's my, I'm not worried about it, so that's the overriding concern, is I look at the photograph and boy, it just looks like it's a little more
It
than,
looks rough.
So
it looks a little bit more.
So what I'm hearing is if you can get it cleaned up in the next 2 weeks, they could issue it at
Well, what do
the
you
next
mean
meeting.
by cleaned up? Get the material off the driveway?
Yeah, Jennifer was out and had spoken to someone on site.
Spoke to that tenant,
Facade.
yes.
Okay, it was a tenant she
It's a
spoke to.
tenant she spoke to.
Oh, okay, I don't think she understood it was your tenant.
What's that?
Apparently Jennifer spoke to the tenant. I don't think we knew that she was speaking to the tenant out there. So you're the owner, and she
I'm the
had talked to
owner.
the tenant.
Right.
Okay, so
Not
yes,
really attached.
the stuff in the driveway needs to be cleaned up, and she had
Okay, I
suggested
mean-
putting stone.
But it's more than that, right?
Right.
It's
It's more than that.
erosion in the grass.
There's
And
no
stone
erosion.
here.
I've been digging there. That's all sand that my contractor left, and I want to clean it out and replace it with loam.
Well, that's the
I didn't
problem.
know
We have to
And
get
then you're gonna
that,
plant the loam.
that has to
What?
be
Then
done.
you're gonna plant it with grass or
Yes.
something? Well, you're running out of time.
Yeah, no kidding.
So that would need to be done.
All right, let's understand the time sensitivity. I'm not sure if, you know, this was a failed septic system, that's why you replaced it, right?
Yeah, but I don't understand it. This is nowhere near any of the construction.
Yeah, but
There
it's
was
in the
nothing
wetlands.
touched there except he left the sand pile, and I'm trying to clean up the mess. That's all. No
How long is it
construction
gonna
was
take you to
done
clean it up?
No, but construction vehicles came up the driveway, and this
Oh, yeah, sure.
is possibly some of the disturbance from that. Or from stockpiles
there.
that
No,
that
no,
you
I'm
may have
telling you,
had.
like, are you looking at that little trench there?
More reason to hold
That was not touched. But that wasn't touched at all. Except it was driven over, killed the grass.
Well, that's touched.
Yeah, okay, you're right, it's touched.
That's
And
touched.
It was reseeded,
all right,
the
well-
grass died because of the
Well,
drought.
2 weeks isn't gonna make and break this. So the commission's not comfortable with issuing a COC with the issues. So if we continue, that would give you 2 weeks to clean up the area of issue.
Well, can you clarify exactly what it is you expect me to do?
We
Just
We
clean the
can meet-
driveway up, because this is not on the driveway.
Well, you said you wanted to take,
It's not the driveway.
I mean, other than the fact that stuff on the driveway is going to end up eroding down with that same chandelier you got there. I think what we.
I can talk to Jennifer and we can meet him out there.
If there's a wetland down here, nobody would care about that, but that stuff's going right down.
Our concern, sir, is that the soils aren't stable, meaning that that they can get washed down into the wetland on a rain event. So the way to do that is just what you suggested. Loam it, seed it with something that will, establish a root system, and that will stabilize the soil. That's all we're looking for. I mean, if we could achieve that, if we could get it loamed and seeded and a little bit of growth by next time Jennifer or Heidi could inspect, we could maybe give you the COC. But it's hard to do that where it's unstable right now.
Well, I would think by the end of
Okay, because I'm not planning to seed, I'm not planning to seed the slope.
to do the work.
I'm not planning to seed that slope. I've got gravel there. Larger gravel.
Stabilize it.
Is the
Stabilize it
gravel
somehow.
part of an,
No, this is the lawn line here. This
it's just stuff that's washed off the driveway over years, or is it just
No.
needs
natural?
gravel in here.
That's gravel.
Always was?
Put in place for landscape.
Yes. Gravel's been there.
So what's it, erosion stuff? It's erosion?
You know what, we're sitting here from the table,
Yeah.
and Heidi and Jen, at least Jen has been out, you've been out there too?
Yeah, I've been out there previously.
So let's let our staff get out there, make an assessment. We're clearly not seeing something that they must have seen, because it's,
We,
I wouldn't have-
really tell what it's.
yeah,
That's why I'm saying.
let's let Jen and Heidi
Because
work.
Jen would have never written this if it wasn't.
we can
So
give you a
what
call and
Yeah, so
come
we'll
out
do-
and
we'll
show
have
you
to-
what you have to do.
We'll continue it.
Continue the request. I don't think it,
We're gonna wait, and then we have to get it rectified to find out what the dispute is between what we're seeing and what we're being told.
No, I'm a little
and I don't,
concerned about what you're gonna be asking me to do, what they're gonna be asking.
Well, I don't think-
Let's find out and we'll see where we're going.
Right, because to be truthful, like, I think after we talk to Jen, we probably won't require anything.
Yeah.
Maybe that picture's probably, changing what's really out there.
Louis,
But if there was any disturbance as a result of the project, it should be stabilized before we issue a COC, and that's what we're trying to achieve.
All right,
just so I can clarify for people at home who might be hearing us, it's not that we don't have faith in what our staff has seen or what they've said in writing. What it is we're not seeing by way of the photograph what it is, so we're giving them an opportunity to make it more clear to us.
exactly.
That we support our staff in this, for
Oh,
sure.
absolutely. All right, so we need a motion to continue.
So moved.
Second?
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Good job, guys.
Quick enough? Second to last one.
Okay, next one is,
I'll give you a call.
thank you. Next one is enforcement order 255 Haymax.
So this one, I'll let you read the date. We have an old plan, and the owner is here.
We're gonna mess. All right.
Yep.
It's part of the driveway area up around the house.
What we have to do is give you some direction, because this is, it's a strictly a violation. And I feel bad that, your contract didn't do what it was supposed to do. You have the contract, you had a contract with the gentleman, and he stated that he was gonna do all permits necessary?
That's what all the
Oh,
contractors did from my other.
When was Haymeadow built? I'm sorry, Louis.
Good.
I don't remember. I don't know.
What's that?
I think
When
it's
Haymeadow was built.
I think it's unreasonable to have a contract to get a permit for something like this. I think, if the order of conditions rides with the property owner acknowledges that he's received the order of conditions by purchasing the property, it's in his title. depending on the era of when it was, how would a contractor necessarily know? I think it's incumbent upon the property owner to know that I need permits.
No, it's twofold. A contractor should know when he's building what he's not supposed to.
But I think throwing the contractor under the bus all by itself isn't the fair thing to do either.
Is there a written contract?
It just every contractor just to say that this is the project cost, that's including everything, including the permit, whatever they want to do it. That's what they did it for my deck and other work. They never mentioned anything separately.
Normally, if they're building a deck or doing this work in the house, they're talking about building permits, not necessarily conservation permits.
Right.
But if you have specific language in a contract between you and the contractor that says the contractor is responsible for all permits, then, we still have to deal with the situation, but then you would have a case against the contractor if he didn't pull them all.
Yes.
So whatever damages or costs to you, you go sue him for.
Yeah, they mostly what the word of mouth. What they did is instead of putting in the writing like on one page, they did it to me. They just say that okay, we will go and call the conservation and make sure that everything is all set before starting the work.
Did they put that in writing?
No, they never put it in anything writing.
It holds no merit to us. I'm just trying to help you in your defense, because clearly, like Joe said, that it's the obligation of your homeowner to know what you can do and what you can't do. So we can't permit something that we don't know what's in there. So we require an NOI because we have to know
But
whether.
did this come to the conservation when the house was built? Is
No,
this a new house?
That's what I was asking. I think it's very important.
It's like
93?
it's built on 93, 94
So
something.
this
and the-
plan here
What's on the title?
is an old plan?
Yes, and the original one does not have a
When the house
certificate
was
of
built, so that order of
compliance.
conditions is lying.
Doesn't have a certificate of compliance.
Well, whether they got a COC is immaterial at this
Well,
point.
then this.
The thing is, it's no longer valid.
Let's take this
Oh,
in
no,
order.
the
In
order's
1993,
old.
the Wetlands Protection Act was in place. Our local bylaw and regulations were in place. Order of conditions were issued by this commission when it was originally built. It's in the title to the house. Every person who's owned this house since the order of conditions was purchased is subject to the orders of conditions in a perpetual fashion. It says all heirs and assigns. It's there. It's in the title.
Yeah, that's
Notice
all.
to the world is notice to the owner. The contractor doesn't know jack about any of that documentation. Whether the owner has a contractual agreement or situation or understanding with a private contractor or not is a matter between them, not between this commission.
I understand, that's what
It's
I
a
said.
homeowner.
That's what I said between, he'd sue them for whatever cost may be associated with this. But this is, this work with the
I have an
wall-
attorney itching over that. That's a scary thing.
Hey, Joe,
Not a-
1988.
Actually,
No, this wall was built
But still,
recently.
no,
yeah, still under
it's
both.
just putting some
That's the
boulders.
original order.
That is not really a wall. It's trying to put a boulder the car doesn't run down. Because for safety of my
Is this
kids, when it turned down,
Well,
because
this evidently work was done, is to be done? or-
it's already done.
done.
because I
Oh,
didn't
it's
know
already
that,
done.
yeah.
was one over there.
So this is the picture which is.
Yeah, it just shows the house.
This is the picture which is on 2010. This is the current one today. I took it the picture.
Doesn't show
There is no
wall.
encroachment or anything happens. It's just to put some more boulders to keep the car to not run down. I didn't know that the contractor haven't done anything.
I know the names.
Do you?
That's because I tried to call the conservation to put some seedings on the front of the driveway because there's a lot of erosion happening from the water run down from the street. When I called it, she showed up, and then that's where I came to know that there is no talk between the conservation and the contractor.
Maybe it was never.
Have we issued an enforcement order?
No, because we were waiting, he wanted to come before us.
Because that's the 2010,
Yeah,
is the
but,
current one.
was this wall built when the house was built?
No,
The wall is already, it's like, the wall means,
Wall-
actually it's not a wall. It's a couple of boulders to put it to keep the car doesn't go down.
So this is something that happened after the house was built and all that work was complete. And then at some point you had some erosion, so they hired a contractor to come in
Yeah, then it's
and
kind
take
of,
care of the erosion.
yeah.
And that was done. How long ago was that done?
It's a long time ago, and then I just put some more boulders on top of it, actually.
Now
that's
you're
all.
adding to redoing what was done.
Yeah, It's already done, so I just put some more borders to keep it to car not to run down the hill.
So you already did the work
Yes.
The contractor already did it last year.
a year ago, okay.
Yeah.
So what brings us to light
Yeah,
now?
well, yeah, how come it's before us today?
Because in the front of the driveway is too much erosion going on because the water ran down from
There's a
the.
wetlands crossing at the end of the
Yeah.
driveway
So that's what the whole
that he has
subdivision,
concerns about.
but
No,
And
this is only
what it's doing is that it's really narrow.
individual
it's
houses were
eroding.
permitted back then.
We had a new driveway done, so he wanted to fill in the sides where the wetland crossing is.
It's not filling the sides, it's just putting some seeding so that, because there is if the water is.
Well, I had a
more,
meeting,
it come through my
with Jen,
driveway.
said, and that's what sent her out there, because you
Yeah.
asked if you could
I called her,
reinforce,
Yeah,
that you could reinforce the bankings on
Yeah.
both sides of the wetland crossing.
yeah.
Well, you gotta put dirt to put seed, so I mean, it's just.
I told her I should
so
put some
why are we
seedings.
issuing an enforcement order at this point?
Well, because when Jen went out to go see where the wetland, where he wanted to do the improvement of the wetlands crossing, she saw the wall and the
Okay, that was
driveway.
done a year ago, according to him.
Yeah,
Right,
it's a year ago.
but it's still a violation.
I don't know how far back are we going with this crap?
So I just want to clarify, the statement was made earlier when I was speaking, based on the owner's statement. The order of conditions goes back to 1988, so if the work was done in 93, this may be the case, but the original order does go back to 88, so it was not crafted as clearly as more modern orders might have been. But the condition about recording is that standard language, that is in there.
If that's not hit the order, if that's, you don't have a certificate of compliance for the original house, then that
Should we
should,
know that they don't?
They
There
don't.
is
No.
not,
then
no.
that's something you should.
No, that's what I was saying,
you
there's
should,
no COC.
Even from way back then?
Nope,
I'm not even, I did not
that's what I'm
check
saying.
the
You have
registry
a
to see if it
multitude
was.
of issues.
So I'm sure if you go out to inspect the site, you're gonna find out that there was additional work done. That's done a year ago or so, something like that, so you're gonna find there's all sorts of issues that apparently, he wants additional work he wants to do on the site, which he's gonna have to get a order of conditions for, or
Sean, you were starting to ask,
Some-
historic photos?
some kind of a permit from us for.
Are there any photographs? Everything is looking at the driveway, and we don't get to see the 6 to 8 foot retaining wall.
There is no, it just the borders, that's what, if you see that the 2010, you don't see the borders, but in 2000,
Apparently it's
today's
not a
photo, you
retaining
will see
wall.
the borders.
Right, but I want to see it from the downslope looking up, because it's represented in, by our agent that there's a 6 to 8 foot high retaining wall.
Yeah, well,
Is
that's,
that photo I
No,
gave
from the
you?
wetlands up.
Right.
No.
Is the wall
property.
higher than the driveway
Slope.
now?
No,
Well, you said you had concerns about somebody driving off the edge.
because that's what I tried to work on some borders on it, so you can see that it's trying to reach the level of the, because of it's going down, like 2 feet down, it's steep, from the driveway to the border is 2 feet, and then another,
So
like,
what you did is you built the shoulder
yeah,
beyond the driveway.
no, inside the driveway, trying to put some borders inside the driveway.
Excuse me.
It's not going away from the existing or anything, nothing is changed, nothing is modified, nothing is changed there, actually.
All right,
Do you have any pictures showing the boulders and the area you're talking about from the back of the driveway, or behind the driveway looking at the driveway?
I don't have that one actually, it's all in digital, I can send it over the email or anything if you want.
This is.
To your email address.
The question, all right, so like you said, the question is, if this happened a year ago, is there a length of time where that doesn't apply? I don't
No
think so.
statute of limitations on the violation.
I didn't think so.
There was people who...
But, it doesn't have a COC, it doesn't have a COC, it doesn't have an as-built, I mean, that stuff should be from 1990.
How long have you lived in this, have you lived here since 93?
No,
How
I'm
long?
just for 2005 years.
2005?
2010 I bought this house.
2010,
Yeah.
you bought it. Is it for discussion? I mean, it's fair to say we're not going to saddle the current owner with the misgivings of any prior owner.
Is this the only violation found on the...
So what I was going to suggest, if we have some general discussion about something like I just said, does it make sense that we have aerial photography that we can go back and we can look historically, we can, every 2 or 3, 5 years, we can pop up photographs and see the way it used to be and see the evolution. You know, Big Brother is flying overhead all the time, and we have the ability to see that. You know, if we're seeing wholesale changes to the landscape or terrain of the yard since this owner has owned it, we have a discussion that we had. If we're seeing minimal changes and only this most recent thing, then that's a discussion that takes on, I think, a different scope. I don't think we go back to 88, the fact they don't have a certificate of compliance, and saddle this particular owner with whatever wasn't built, 35 years ago.
At some point, you have
30
to
years
get a
ago.
COC, because, I mean, they're catching up on these.
Well, chances are. you
Mortgage
get-
companies are catching up without COCs.
In 2005, they didn't, apparently.
Evidently not.
2010.
2010, I mean.
2010.
Apparently, they didn't pick it up either.
All right.
So I think,
To deal with the issue at hand, I mean, he's got some work that's already been done. He wants to do more work. It stands to
That's
reason
not shown on the plan.
that we should get a delineation of, redefine those wetlands, because, our delineation may be from 1983 or whenever it was. And so we should at least get a delineation, find out what the setback is on the work that's already been done, see if, it's probably within the 100 foot, but, see what we're dealing with there. And then, I think with that information, we could put an enforcement order out to require that. And with that information, we could advise him on NOI.
Well, he definitely has to file an NOI to do the work that he wants to do moving forward, because
Okay.
it's a wetlands crossing.
I agree.
So once he does the NOI, then he has to do an engineering plan, which would show the wall.
well, they absolutely, but any activity that was done in the time that this particular owner owned the property that may be in question or violation may also require a delineation and some action.
Right.
We don't know that yet.
And a plot, and the line plotted so we can calculate setbacks and all that, I think we need to evaluate what we have here first in order to advise, the applicant on how to move forward. That's really dealing, I think that's just dealing with the issue at hand. Then with the COC, that's a different kettle of fish in my mind.
Right.
So we can do it, at this point, it's administrative. He's here before us for discussion. There's no enforcement action.
There is no enforcement
Action yet.
at the moment.
So, let's have that discussion, move forward, but I think the next meeting, if we don't see any progress, I think the tone takes on a different volume of requiring things be done in certain timeframes.
Are you planning on doing the
I'm
improvement
stuck
of
because
the wetlands crossing?
No, I'm not, because currently I'm claiming unemployment, so I don't have any money to do any more extra work or anything to myself. So that's what I stopped doing anything.
Okay, so you do realize if you do any more work, you have to file an NOI?
Exactly, I know about it.
Okay. Why don't we continue the discussion?
So it says enforcement order, but it's just for the purpose of discussion. There isn't actually an order, right?
You haven't issued anything.
No,
The item says that, but it's not that, right?
it is not.
Okay.
It has not been issued.
It seems to me that probably the way we should proceed, since this site does not have a certificate of compliance for the construction of the house and driveway and all that stuff, that should be one of the first things we look at, is to get an as-built of the site and a request for a certificate of compliance for that work. And what I suspect is going to happen is that the as-built that gets done is going to show this new work that was done a couple of years ago. It's also going to show some work that was done probably when the house was constructed that's different from the plan. If this is the plan that the order was issued against, there's work right in here that's not shown on this plan. So I suspect that may be a minor issue, but it would be a place to start, but then we would have a plan of the site as it looks today. We would know where the wetlands are, where everything is, and then we can define what work was done a couple of years ago, and then discuss what's gonna be done about that, if anything.
See,
And then we can say, hey, maybe we issue a certificate of compliance, or maybe we say, no, we can't issue a certificate of compliance until you do this, this, or that.
Yeah, that's what I tried to go and talk to Jen and got the NOSC notification and talked to a couple of assessors. They charged me like a couple of grants kind for
Oh, I
money.
suspect
So
that
in this stage, I cannot
probably
able to
would
pay that much money.
be expensive.
So until I find my job and get it something, then I can easily to try to do that, get it done everything right in the right way. That otherwise, if I don't call it Jen to make sure that I kind of put some seedings to keep erosion on the driveway, because in 2010 the driveway went like 2 feet below the road level. Then I tried to keep it because the water gushing from the down the hill can come through my driveway and goes through the land.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you, Doug. Procedurally, that's probably the way to go. I think, I think we've got, you know, I mean, I believe the applicant, he's got some erosion issues that are ongoing now, and he's tried to take some action, and he foresees more action to be taken. I think, you know, I mean, unless we have to procedurally resolve this COC, I think we should probably move it forward in terms of, you know, what needs to be done now, which is
The problem is,
dealing with the violation that we know of and what he wants to do.
well, he's talking about, the main thing, he's talking about that wetlands crossing that I was telling you
Yeah.
about. You can't do anything there.
I'm fine with that. I'm going to stop it. I'm not going to do
You
anything on
can't,
wetland.
what you've done, that's it. You can't, without filing an NOI.
Yeah.
Like I said, an enforcement order, we can't, how can we judge? We don't even know if he's in violation.
Right, you don't know how far it is from.
And he can't afford to do an engineering report.
So we have it delineated? I mean, you know, we could,
I'd have staff make a more thorough assessment of what we have out there. So
and instead of having an
because right now, we're dealing with
engineering plan-
hypotheticals. Let's understand what the hell we have out
Right.
there.
Yeah, I agree.
And then based on what we think is the case, we can chart a different course if necessary.
And we don't necessarily have to have an engineering plan. We can pull tapes and make some pretty accurate estimates from a revised line. But that revised line is going to tell us everything, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't want to overburden our staff. I mean, if it's reasonable to go out and do that, that's one thing, but if it's, you know, if we end up going out there and doing a rudimentary survey on our own, I don't want to do that either. But
Well, if you have a wetland scientist go there for 4 hours to delineate that line, that's not too bad. I mean, if our staff can't, if we don't want to set that precedent, I mean,
oh, we certainly don't.
yeah.
No. Why don't we continue this to the next meeting and discuss with staff? What we're trying to do is not do a certified plot plan. What we're looking for is just to delineate the wetlands, and then our staff could measure if there is a violation. You might be legal where you put the stones along the driveway. That might be perfectly legal. And then what we do is if you could file an after the fact, you probably can get away with an RDA, I would think.
I'm not going to hypothesize.
I'm just.
Let's see what we have first.
Yeah, and that's true.
Let's see what we have.
So what we'll do is we'll have staff talk to you tomorrow or Friday. And explain to them what a wetlands delineation is. And you can probably have an estimate of cost anyways, I would think. And, well, Jen might go from there.
The best guesstimate possibly.
Guesstimate. So we can give him some direction.
Have you been out there?
I have not. I'm sorry.
All right, so we'll continue this to the next meeting.
I know.
We'll take no
My title, field
action
inspector, am I supposed to be doing that?
against you, but just to reinforce the fact, no more work is to be done.
No, I'm starting.
Okay, and we'll have staff explain to
I
you
didn't start it first of all, because I called Jen to make sure that I can start doing the work,
Right,
because
well-
I didn't start
Well,
anything.
we're talking about the stones on the side of the driveway also. That's a potential violation.
Okay,
So what we have to do is you'll, at some point, just get the wetlands marked, and then the staff could and take measurements, and then we'll decide if it's a violation or what we can do. I mean, it's not, we're trying to be as helpful as we can, but it's kind of difficult when we have no direction, because we have no really plan to look at to say, well, this is wrong and that's wrong, and, I mean, you're in violation for doing the work, but you didn't know, contractor should have known, but he didn't know, so we'll continue for the next meeting and take no action.
Sure.
All right? Is that
So
fine?
moved.
That work?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous. Thank you. Okay, next one is, we have, what, ratified EO 83 Campbell, you handwritten this?
I'm sorry?
It's handwritten on mine, ratified
For-
EO 83 Campbell?
Yes, we issued an enforcement order for 83 Campbell. We received a complaint unreported about work ongoing at 83 Campbell, and did a drive-by. Nobody was home, but I took a photo, and there's a large pile of dirt and evidence of machine work right next to the wetland within the 25, so an enforcement order was issued.
And
Move
the
that we ratify the
enforcement order
enforcement.
says what?
And the enforcement order says that to cease and desist work, and to obtain a wetland delineation. Hold on, let me tell you. Oh, wait, I have it right
And usually file before the commission.
Yep.
It's within the 25.
So immediately install erosion control in the form of staked hay bales backed by trench silt fence between all work and disturbed soil in the wetlands. Delineation of wetland resource areas within 100 feet must be completed by October 12th for the next meeting. And then as soon as the wetland delineation is done, they're to contact the Conservation Department. And it also says a restoration plan and/or after-the-fact permitting will be required.
Okay.
If that's
Questionable.
Motion?
Move to ratify the enforcement order as drafted.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous.
Very quick, Deb. Very quick.
Toronto's winning.
All right, next one is approval of the 2017 meeting minute schedule.
I only see two copies.
So there's just, you do,
Oh, only two.
only two.
That I see.
I have no-
But I'm okay otherwise.
What's the
If
asterisk?
you can remember what you're gonna do in a year from now, you're pretty good.
That's my sister's birthday, actually.
I just happen to have two vacations that I can see.
So the asterisks are odd filing deadlines on a Thursday because of holidays. There's just the one December meeting again, but with the holidays, it doesn't seem to end up causing anything but a busier meeting in January.
That's an important meeting.
Very important. meeting.
Yes.
We get to vote?
Beautiful.
Yes. I can't tell you why on camera. Any motion?
Yeah, does
Nobody
anyone-
has any questions?
Move that we approve of the 2017 meetings.
Second.
As written.
Second.
All those in favor say
On
aye.
discussion.
Aye.
Opposed? That's unanimous. Motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that's unanimous.